Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm meteorologist Griffin Hardy. We are breaking back into regular programming because we have a new tornado warning to tell you about. This is going to include Pickens County as well as the northeastern corner of Oconee County. This is in effect until 10:15 p.m. this evening, and there is a storm that is capable of producing a tornado that is approaching Pickens right now. So if you are in the center of Pickens, this does impact you. You're included in that tornado warning polygon. We encourage you to seek shelter, move to an interior room away from doors and windows because we are looking at a storm that has got with it some radar indicated rotation. And excuse me, if we switch over to velocity mode, let's get a closer look at that storm in particular. So as of right now, we've got an area of rotation right about here that is just north of Highway 183. Looks like it's going to be northwest of 6 Mile by about 4 miles in distance and to the northwest of town. And it looks like it is lifting up to the northeast at around 35 to 40 miles per hour. So again, if you're in any of these communities here, let's draw out the storm track for you. Any of these towns that pop up here, you'll want to take shelter immediately. It looks like we're having some trouble getting the towns popped up for you. I'll get that adjusted here in a moment. But again, the important thing to know is that this includes Pickens County. And again, that tornado warning continues until 10:15 p.m. So as of right now, we encourage you to move indoors if you're not already. We've got a tornado warned storm that is in Pickens County right now. Let me take a minute to get the radar adjusted for you so you can show this storm is moving. So this came up from the southwest, just passed through Walhalla, and just passed, is now passing north of 6 Mile. And we're going to work to get more information from the National Weather Service on this particular storm. So again, tornado warning in effect until 10:15 p.m. That includes Pickens County. It is lifting up to the northeast. Looks like it's going to be passing northwest of Easley by about 10 to 15 miles. Easley is not included in this particular tornado warning, but it does include a good chunk of Pickens County. So again, I got the latest update from the National Weather Service. It's currently located about 10 miles northeast of Walhalla or near Lake Keowee, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So what you need to do is move inside, move away from doors and windows. This will be moving through Keowee-Toxaway State Park at around 9:40 p.m. and moving through Pickens at around 9:50 p.m. So if you're in Pickens, the tornado warning does include downtown Pickens. So everybody, especially on the western side of town, this is the time that you need to go to your tornado safe spot. That means you go to a closet, you go to a bathroom. We don't want you driving. Stay off the roads. If you're driving, I would recommend pulling over to the nearest service station, moving inside and seeking shelter while this storm passes. The time right now is 9:34 p.m. and this tornado warning continues until 10:15 p.m. Now, let's pause the radar here and we'll try to hone in on where exactly this rotation is located. And as we mentioned just a moment ago, as of right now, we'll highlight the rotation right about here. And it is tracking to the northeast at 30 miles per hour. So that is going to be northwest of the center of 6 Mile by about 4 miles distance. And let's draw out that storm track for you. So moving northeast at 30 miles per hour, that's where that potential area of rotation is located. It looks like it's going to be passing potentially just north of Pickens, but if you're in Pickens, we would highly recommend you go ahead and seek shelter because there's enough indication there that we may have a possible tornado that could be developing. So just to reiterate here, new tornado warning in effect until 10:15 p.m. for Pickens County. We're going to stay with this so long as this warning is active. We're going to stay with it. We apologize for interrupting regular programming, but this is the nature of things. We have we had a conditional threat for severe weather today, and it looks like this is the second tornado warning for our viewing area for the day today. And again, that's going to include most of Pickens County. So If you're just tuning in, this is what's happening right now. We've got this this line of storms that's developing here just to the north of Greenville. And up to the northeast, you see the big red box there. That's a tornado watch for western North Carolina. And that does include Rutherfordton, Rutherford County up there. There's another possibility that we could run into some severe storms up here, but excuse me, the most pressing storm on the board right now is the Pickens County storm. So we're going to stick with that. Again, we'll pause the radar here and get a closer look at that Pickens County storm. So Pickens County is the potential storm we're talking about here. And as of right now, we don't have any other word yet from the National Weather Service on whether this is radar indicated or radar confirmed. Sometimes that's the case here. But let's hold on one moment and I'll get that tornado warning box pulled up for you once again so you can get a good idea of who's included with this. So everybody who's along State Highway 11 and especially just east of Lake Kiowee, this tornado warning does include you. So if you're along the shores of Lake Kiowee and you need to, and you're listening to us now, go ahead and seek shelter right now. That means go to a closet, go to a bathroom, interior room, away from doors and windows. So we strongly recommend you just ride it out with us. Please be patient. I understand it's other people may not be impacting everybody, but we got to stick with this because it's potentially a life-threatening situation. Switching back over to velocity here. Nothing too particularly strong stands out. It's one of those things where there may be something, there may not be something, but if there is something, it's passing over Highway 133 right now, just to the south of 9 times. That's a community in the western part of Pickens County and on that eastern shore of Lake Kiowee. So Lake Kiowee, I'll draw it for you, is right about here. That's Lake Kiowee that we're looking at here. And there's a possible area of rotation right about here, just south of 9 times. Not a particularly strong area of rotation, but that's the area we're going to have to watch. And this is going to be passing just west of Pickens, it looks like. So Pickens is right here, and this is about 7 miles west of Pickens, where the most dangerous part of the storm is located. Where there is not any radar indicated rotation at this time, we have certainly a lot of heavy rain. We switch over to reflectivity here. We got torrential downpours that have just been going on and on and on all day long. And for now, it's kind of shifting to a tornado threat, albeit a weak tornado threat. I wouldn't say that this is, again, a particularly strong signature. If we switch over to the debris product, we can see that we do not have anything that really shows any debris being lofted, but we're going to, just to err on the side of caution, we're going to stick with this just to make sure that it doesn't ramp up anytime soon. So again, tornado warning continues for Pickens County. Downtown Pickens, it does include you. We can't give you an all clear just yet. I'll look over here at what the National Weather Service is saying to get any more updates for you. And excuse me, as of right now, still going to continue with it. This is the only warning in our area, so that's some good news, that the tornado warning continues until 10:15 p.m. Let's switch it back over here. And for everyone else who's watching in Greenville, this is going to be well to the west of Greenville. Greenville obviously being the most populated place in our viewing area. This is most certainly not going to be impacting Greenville, at least not at this time. We have this big line of storms here that has some embedded rotation with some of these cells that are popping up. But the back side of the storms is back here. So everything back behind this line that you see here, that is all going to be, that's going to be the cutoff time. So as soon as that moves through, then we're pretty much in the clear. So that is some good news here, but it's just along this last edge of the line that there is a potential for possibly some rotating thunderstorms. So again, we are waiting to hear back from the Weather Service. Looks like they're just updating some aerial flood advisories and aerial flood warnings. The time right now is 9:40, and we'll zoom back in for you on this particular warning. And switching back over to velocity, still kind of a hodgepodge of signatures. There might be a little bit of something back here, and then you've got another area of rotation right here. but neither of these appear to be particularly strong. So while we want to err on the side of caution and stick with you while this warning continues, I'm not really seeing a whole lot that really sticks out to me. You know, there's a possibility that there's something there. There's certainly a lot of heavy rain. There's no question about that. But I still want you to stay in your safe spots, especially if you're in 6 Mile, because it's passing just to the north of you by about 2 miles now, and we still have not heard anything else from the Weather Service. Let me switch back to the broader picture here. One storm that we did have back in down in Abbeville County, that storm had a funnel cloud with it. We did not have any reports of damage with that, so that's good. But as of right now, we just got to get past this one last storm, and then we should be pretty much in the clear. Everything up to the northeast of here, these are the stronger storms that you see developing up to the northeast of us. This is a tornado watch. That means conditions up in this general area are a little bit more favorable for tornadoes, but we do have just that one warning down to our south, excuse me, down to the south in our area into Pickens County. I do apologize. You know, we are just waiting to hear back if this warning does expire. I would certainly be inclined to expire it. I'm not really seeing much of any significant signature here that would indicate that we have a tornado. So I realize I sound like a bit of a broken record, but we got to stick with this just as we're certainly required to. You know, anytime there's any chance of severe weather in our area, we got to stick with it and show you what's happening. And as of right now, there's certainly some wind, certainly some rain. We've been watching for that potential for hail this evening, and may have a little bit of something there, but at this time I'm just not seeing that. But we're going to continue with the coverage, of course, and we will obviously have more on that Abbeville County storm, more details on that when we get to our 11 o'clock newscast. But for right now, this is the storm to watch. It's about 2 to 3 miles to the northwest and northwest of 6 Mile. Still got a tornado warning with it. We'll continue to keep watching the Weather Service chat room to see if they provide any further updates. Nigel, Carol, if you've got a moment, I'll toss it over to you.
Well, Griffin, one of the things we're concerned about, I've heard from friends in 6 Mile who say that power has been out, so we're assuming that there are some strong winds with this. Whether they're at tornadic level or not is another question, I guess. But this is heavy rain and also potentially some damaging winds.
A lot of people on social media have been posting things about possible damage in the Pickens, kind of north of the city of Pickens, but in the Pickens County area. But all of this, of course, is developing right now as we speak. I did look up the Duke outage map, and the outage map is not showing a large number. But again, right now I think it's at 60 in the upstate. A larger number in the Hendersonville area. But again, I don't know if that is from actually this system.
And this also might be a different power company, too. So we'll be checking that as well. But if you know this area, this is along Highway 11. We're talking about Lake Jocassee, the northern neck of Lake Kiowee. Yeah. Some hilly areas. There are populations out there, so hopefully everybody is in their safe place right now. Let's get back to Griffin.
All right, thank you, guys. I want to stick with this just a little bit longer because we gotta ride it out just a little bit longer to wait to see what this storm does. There may be a little bit of a cell back here on the west side of it that's just about to cross over Lake Kiowee. So there's this little cell here that's just south of Salem. Maybe a little bit of a hook here, but nothing that really jumps out at you that says that this could be a really dangerous storm, but we got to stick with it. So there's Highway 130 right there. It's about to cross over that. This is the northern shores of Lake Kiowee where we've got this tornado warning in effect. It's certainly not as much of a pronounced signature as what we saw with that Abbeville County storm earlier this evening, but it's enough to be extra cautious. You know, It's not often we get severe weather, an outbreak that impacts us heavily here in the upstate, but this has a chance. It could be one of those nights. So again, we'll stick with you through this just to make sure that nothing crazy happens over these next few scans of the radar. So checking back with the Weather Service, still no updates on what this storm, what their line of thinking is on this storm. Let me switch back to the velocity data here, and maybe a very faint signature there. That'd be a bit of a stretch of the word, though. I mean, I'm not overly impressed with this. So Highway 183, Highway 130, kind of at that crossroads right there. There may be a little bit of something near you, but nothing that really jumps out. Then you move up to the northeast and some fairly strong winds northwest of Pickens. You know, you've got those brighter shades of red showing up there just south of Sunset and northeast of 9 Times. And then you got U.S. Highway 178 that also may be getting some pretty strong winds. Switching back to the reflectivity here, all I'm really seeing for the moment is just some tropical downpours at this point. Looks like the warning is going to be allowed to continue. Let's try to get a little bit of a storm track on this. So moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. If this does hold together, these are some of the places that could be impacted by this next cell that's coming out of the southwest. 9 Times at around 10:02 p.m., then Sunset by around 10:12 p.m. That will be within the next half hour. So yeah, we'll stick with you while this potential tornado, while the radar indicated rotation remains on radar. So again, continues till around 10:15 p.m. Let's do another quick reset here. Switching back over to satellite radar, get the broader picture. We've seen round after round after round of heavy rain today. This has been a pretty extended storm system in terms of how many people it's impacted. You know, this started off as a system over in Texas, then moved through Louisiana last night, produced an EF3 tornado. And earlier today, we had those reports of, we had those pictures that came in of a funnel cloud down near Calhoun Falls and down into Abbeville County. We had that storm down there, but that has since expired. So the tornado warning that's active for the moment is in Pickens County. And I'm here to say that, you know, we haven't heard any new updates from the Weather Service, but nothing that really jumps out here for the most part. So that's the good news to take away from it. But being that it is a tornado warning, potentially life-threatening situation, we want to err on the side of caution and let you know that there's a chance that this could ramp back up again. But thankfully not seeing that at this time. So let's, switching back here. Looks like the warning's no longer on the screen, but there it is, just pops back up again. So again, Pickens, stay in your safe spot just a little bit longer so we can give you an all clear. Pickens, looks like everybody just west of Pickens. This is the only people that'll be impacted for you. Okay, so it looks like we just got a new update from the Weather Service. They are going to allow this to continue. That's going to be in effect until still 10:15 p.m. Looks like they've taken Oconee County out of the warning, that little eastern sliver of Oconee County that we saw right here. That's now been taken out. So that's the update that we got, was that if there is something there, that's a little area we watched it, but now it's exited Oconee County. If there is anything, it's going to be on top of the eastern shores of Lake Kiowee right now. So let's switch back to the velocity here. Possibly a little bit of something right there is what we're looking at here. And like it's one of those situations where maybe we have something, maybe we don't. So we got to just wait it out and see what this does here. So let's take that off the screen. I'm going to zoom in a little bit tighter, see if we can get some streets to pop up here. This is going to be just south of State Highway 183. There's the crossroads with 133 right there on the right-hand side. Then the shores of Lake Kiowee right here. So zooming in really tight, you've got Kiowee Baptist Church Road. You've got Cliffs Vista Parkway, Lakeside Drive, Piney Woods Trail. If any of these streets jump out at you and you live near these streets, this is the time you need to go to shelter. Certainly the tornado warning remains active. Looking over here at more data from the Weather Service. Just saying that now it's located 5 miles northwest of Pickens, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So one of the main things we want to stress is that if you're driving in situations like this, we've got you know, I'm sure we broadcast over numerous radio stations at events like this, and if you're not on, if you're listening to us on your phone and you're in the car and you're on the radio, now's the time you want to pull over and not necessarily get down in a ditch, but pull over to the nearest local convenience store or business, and if they're willing to let you indoors, that'd be great, because car is not the place you want to be at all in a situation like this. You definitely want to be in an interior building that has a foundation and sheltered as much as possible during an event like this. So again, that's the area we're watching there, and the area of rotation is weak, but it's just this tiny little supercell that we're watching that is producing some pretty heavy rain in 9 times. Sydney Sullivan is back in and joining me now, and we're keeping a close eye on this. It's another one of those, maybe something happens, maybe it doesn't. So
right.
We got to stick with
weak rotation, but it is something we are keeping a close eye on. At this point, it's heading towards the 9 times area, pushing towards the northeast fairly quickly at this point. I know I was just out on the roads a few minutes ago seeing some lightning off in the distance towards that direction. So you do want to make sure you are in your safe spot if you are in this area. We'll put it in loop so you can see how quickly it is pushing towards the northeast at this point. Again, that tornado warning is still in effect through, let's see, the latest timeline, through 10:15. So over the next 20-25 minutes or so, you'll want to have a safe spot located in your home. So as we put a track on it here, we'll stop the loop here, we'll put the latest track, and we'll get you all set up here so you know exactly which areas are going to be impacted over the next several minutes here. So with the latest track, let's put it towards the tail end of this particular cell, pushing towards the northeast. Mount Bethel Church, 954, Mount Grove Church, 959, Holly Springs Elementary School. If you're near that vicinity, those are the areas you need to take shelter immediately over the next 5 to even 6 minutes or so. Those are the immediate locations. So as far as rotation goes, we'll take a close look at that, and then we'll see what Griffin's seeing here at the moment. Again, not seeing a whole lot of strong rotation at this point.
I guess wishy-washy is the best word to describe it here. We obviously we would take any tornado warning seriously. However, the good news is that if there is any indication that we have radar indicated tornado, it's not especially strong. So there was that one cell that just lifted up to the north. That's up in the mountains and doesn't really have much organization with it. This one does, and it just passed over Lake Kiowee right here. That's State Highway 11 right here. Moves parallel to where the mountains begin. That's Lake Jocassee right there. So if there is any sort of dangerous part of the storm, it's going to be in that southwestern quadrant. So 6 miles right about there. And again, we're watching that. There's that one little finger of the of Lake Kiowee right here, just south of 9 times. That's roughly where the storm is located right now. Sydney's pulling up the shear product, the rotation product, and we don't have anything. That's good, though. That's what you want to see. You know, you don't want to see any of those returns showing up. The one thing we do have is maybe a little bit of an inflow notch right here. It's still not very well defined, though. And then you just saw a moment ago the velocity product. That is also a pretty good indicator, usually, that you have rotating or spinning winds within a storm. But for the moment, you just got a lot of heavy rain here. So that's Highway 11 right there. There's Pickens. And if you drive north out of Pickens up towards the mountains, if you were to do that right now, you would run into a big, massive heavy rain here. I think the big thing to get across is like we mentioned, it's just not a good time to be on the roadways. Here's another look at those arrival times for you. Had some trouble pulling those up, but I'm glad Sydney's here to help out. A.R. Lewis Elementary School, it's kind of on top of you right now. Mount Grove Church, that'll be near you in about 6 minutes. Then you've got Holly Springs Elementary School, that'll be near you in about 10 minutes. So we're talking about that part of the storm right here. So if there is anything, that's the area we're going to have to watch pretty closely. So you've got Highway 183 right here. That's Highway 130, State Highway 130, and that's Lake Kiowee right here. And that storm is tracking northeast at 30 miles per hour. So if you were to draw that out, you would get those arrival times that we just showed you there. Sydney's pulling up the debris product here. Pretty good outline of the storm itself. You know, you've got that inflow notch there, a little bit of a rear flank downdraft here, but normally this is not it's not the type of signature you would normally see with one of those big strong tornadoes. We're not seeing that here. Just another one of those scenarios where it's radar indicated rotation. We've got to keep an eye on it. As of right now, it does not appear to be doing much. I'm going to step off real quick and check the Weather Service chat room for any more updates here. I think at this point, they're just going to continue the warning. Looks like it's still going to continue until 10:15 p.m. on account of the chance for radar indicated rotation. I would say that nothing we've seen so far in the past half hour while this warning has been active really jumps out at you like in the same way that the Abbeville County storm did. That definitely had a better signature with it. Also, it's getting later in the day, so we're losing daytime heating. That means we're losing storm coverage. We're losing all of the unstable air that these storms need to fuel off of. We have a couple more downpours that are down towards Elbert County, Hart County, right on top of I-85 right now. That's Lake Hartwell that you see there towards the bottom of the screen. It's got some tropical downpours with it, albeit not as organized as what we're seeing now in Pickens County. Just another one of those rogue storms like we talked about. We highlighted this in the forecast the past couple days that our severe weather threat was not especially high, but we could get a lot of storms like this where it could ramp up pretty quickly, and it could certainly produce some rotation with it. And it's kind of nearing the edge of the warning polygon itself. So it'll be interesting to see if the Weather Service decides to extend this into the far northern part of Pickens County or into the northern part of Greenville County. That's still yet to be seen. But the good news is that if you're watching us in Greenville, if you're watching us in Travelers Rest, this is more than likely not going to be impacting you. Travelers Rest, you may get some downpours here, but I think it's really unlikely that we see anything too crazy develop out of this storm. So that's good. So we've paused the radar here for you. That's Highway 178. That's coming north out of Pickens. So the storm is coming up on that now. Should probably pass over 178 within the next 5 minutes. And Sydney's drawing out the storm track for you. There's some more. There's another look at those arrival times. You got 10 p.m. for Holly Springs Elementary School, Cove Creek Church at 10:01. Table Rock is coming up on you at 10:08, and then Newtown School, that's going to come up on you. It's going to come up on you guys at around 10:11 p.m. So, looking back at the chat here, don't have any other big updates to report other than Weather Service is going to continue with that warning. And it's still something that we have to be aware of. So let's, I guess we'll backtrack a little bit. Everybody who's watching us on Lake Kiowee, I think we can give you an all clear from the storm. It's moving well past you, moving away from you. 6 Mile, we can go ahead and give you an all clear. Same for everybody who's back in Oconee County. Oconee County is no longer included in the warning, so all clear for you guys as well. I think the main area we're concerned with is for anybody who lives north of Pickens, kind of along Highway 178. If you travel north of Pickens, kind of out towards the mountains, right before the mountains really start beginning, you've got Highway 11, which is that highway that runs right along the base of the mountains. It's going to be passing just right along that. So that's the area we're going to have to watch. We've been showing you these locations. We'll show you them again. Mountain Grove Church, Holly Springs Elementary School. If any of these towns sound familiar, or you live near any of these towns or locations, stay indoors a little bit longer. It's still potentially impacting you guys. It's a really confined area that the storm is potentially impacting. But again, there's Highway 11, and the mountains begin pretty much right here. So it'll be interesting to see what this storm does as it kind of interacts with the mountains a little bit, because the elevation goes from about 1,000 feet here all the way up to around 3,000 feet up into the mountains. So hopefully that kind of helps to disrupt the storm structure a little bit. But for the moment, still kind of has that inflow notch right here, a little bit of a hook. Not overly impressed with it, but Weather Service erring on the side of caution, of course. So that's where the storm could potentially be at its strongest. That's where that tornado would be. And it's lifting up to the northeast like that. So probably going to miss Pickens, the center of Pickens, that is. It's going to be a near miss, and we don't want you to come out just yet from your shelters. But there's that little area of rotation right there. Normally, you want the colors to... The colors would normally look a little bit brighter than that. This were a really significant tornado, but it's enough for a little bit of rotation, possibly enough for an EF0 and EF1. So those aren't normally the biggest, baddest tornadoes, but it's not nothing. So we'll keep an eye on it. So everybody on Lake Keowee, everybody way back down towards Clemson, Anderson, not going to be impacting you guys. This is a really small area that we're talking about here. I do apologize. We are interrupting programming for this, but we are certainly required to do so in the event of a tornado warning. You know, we take all these situations seriously, so we're going to stick with it just a little bit longer. We've got till 10:15 to see what the Weather Service does. It's now 10:02, and we've got more just of these, we'll call them sketchy showers that could be producing some rotation, but just doesn't think that really jumps out at you at this time. Sydney, I'm sure you probably feel the same way, that maybe we have something, maybe we don't, but got to err on the side of caution.
Absolutely, and I do realize we're talking one area that's affected. However, we are seeing some signs of rotation, so we do want to make sure those areas highlighted in this tornado warning are taking those precautions, getting to the lowest level of their home, and really getting into the most interior side of your home as well, away from windows. So again, this is fortunately a very narrow area that is seeing this, but the impacts are still likely to see damaging winds. We've seen reports of hail over the last several hours within some of these storms, so hail can't be ruled out. And we are seeing some very minor rotation. So this is what we're watching. Here's the latest track. Want to keep you updated as to where this storm system is headed. Holly Springs Elementary School, if you are near that area, 10:04. We've got Cove Creek Church, 10:07. Table Rock, if you are near the Table Rock area, 10:13. And Newtown School, also seeing that tornado warning continuing to work into the area.
For Rutherford County, looks like there's another storm that's well off to the... This is going to be well off to the east of Greenville, well off to the north of Gaffney even. This is up into North Carolina. We've got that new tornado warning that includes Polk and Rutherford counties. So that is going to be just across the state line, North Carolina. This is a new tornado warning that impacts everybody watching us in the mountain areas. So Hendersonville is right on the left-hand side of the screen there. You see Saluda on the map there. This is a storm that's going to be potentially impacting Columbus. Columbus in particular, you are possibly right in the path of this thing. So here we go. We've got a little bit of this looks a little bit more well-defined than the storm that we're seeing in Pickens County. And we've been talking about that storm a lot, so we'll put that on hold for a minute, and we'll talk about this storm, which is in Polk and Henderson County. This new tornado warning, this is going to be in effect until 10:45 p.m. We'll get some more info on this. Just appears to be radar indicated rotation. It's moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. And Columbus in particular, let's focus more on where exactly this is going to be impacting. So there's Highway 176. That is, I believe that's I-26 that, I apologize. That's not I-26. That is a major highway, though, that connects through Columbus. It's going to be crossing right over that. So there's U.S. Highway 176 right there. There's that area of rotation we're watching right here. It's got that kidney bean shape, that classic supercell shape. And here are those arrival times. So if you know of any of these places, you're familiar with any of these places, and they ring a bell in your head, this is where you need to go take shelter. Interior room. You got to get away from doors and windows in particular, because those strong winds can blow out windows really quickly. And those are the most common source of injuries during tornadoes, is just from the debris getting thrown around everywhere. And if you have a helmet, that could be helpful as well. Make sure to go to make sure if you have a bicycle helmet or a football helmet, that would certainly help in an event like this. So St. Luke's Hospital, downtown Columbus, Stony Knoll Church, as well as Mill Spring. Go ahead and go to your safe spot right now. That area of rotation is right on top of 176 and is moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. So right in the center of Columbus is where we're going to have to focus on. There's your area of rotation right here. And I will say this looks a little bit better than what we saw now, what we're seeing right now in Pickens County. You're definitely getting some returns here on the shear product. We didn't see any of that in Pickens County. So now we're able to shift our focus more on this storm. It certainly looks more threatening, Sydney. There's no question. You've got better signatures here, without a doubt.
Absolutely. It is fairly quick moving system, but still fairly defined. Like Griffin was just pointing out, that area of rotation definitely going to be a concern for those areas right around Columbus over the next 5 to even 10 minutes. That's that area of concern. Yeah,
right here. Right here, you've got this, you got the rear flank downdraft right here, and you don't even have to pull up all those special products. You can look at the radar imagery with just the reflectivity on. You got your inflow notch here, you got your rear flank downdraft here. That rear flank downdraft is right on top of Tryon right now, coming up on Columbus. So there's a pretty major highway right here. It looks like that is I-26. I apologize of the confusion there. That's I-26 right here. So that's a pretty major town we're talking about here. There's Burnt Chimney Corner right there showing up on the map. So I-26 runs through Columbus right here. It could be a pretty dangerous storm that's about to cross over the interstate right now. It's 10:07 p.m. This is going to be passing in the southern sections of Columbus. This is up in North Carolina, up towards Polk and Henderson County, Polk and Rutherford counties. So here are the arrival times. Again, Fellowship Church, 10:07 p.m. It's on top of you right now. St. Luke's Hospital, downtown Columbus. You've got about 5 minutes to go ahead and go to shelter. Go to an interior room, away from doors and windows, a closet, a bathroom, a basement if you've got it. If you're caught on the roadways and you can hear my voice, you're listening on your phone, if you're listening on the radio, if you're traveling down I-26 going from Gaffney all the way, out of Spartanburg and up into North Carolina, pull over on the side of the road, go to a convenience store, wait for this thing to pass. You don't want to be caught on the roadways with this. Anybody who's in and around Columbus or Mill Spring, all up and down Highway 74, U.S. Highway 74, North Carolina Highway 9, go to an interior room, away from doors and windows.
And Griffin, I want to, sorry to interrupt you, but we do have a new tornado warning in place.
Looks like they've extended this.
Yes, it's including parts of Henderson County and into Greenville County.
Okay. Yeah, this is a pretty big warning here. That's gonna include Traveler's Rest. So Traveler's Rest is gonna be on the fringe of that warning, but they think there's certainly something there, enough of something there that they want everybody in northern Greenville County to take shelter. That's going to include Traveler's Rest. It's going to include Tigerville, Slater, and Marietta is right here. You've got Jones Gap State Park, which is right here. You've got a lot of familiar landmarks here. You've got these windy, curvy roads that go up and over the mountains right here. So maybe they're thinking that as this storm kind of interacts with the higher elevation, that you don't need as much elevation to actually get a tornado to lower down to the ground. That would actually make sense. So as the storm kind of interacts with those mountains a little bit, there's actually if it goes up, if the storm's going up in elevation, that could mean a tornado could end up being more likely, because again, you go from around 1,100 feet in elevation here all the way up to around 3,000 with these mountains here. So as the storm pushes northward up through those higher elevations, you may get some rotation that goes down to the ground. So Pumpkin Town, you got about 5 minutes. You're now under a tornado warning. Go to your interior closet, bathroom. If you have a basement, that's great. Go ahead and grab some pillows or some helmets if you have them. Mountain Lake Colony, 10:23 p.m. That's pretty close to you. Caesar's Head, you got about 15 minutes. That's one of those mountains that's up there right along that North-South Carolina state line. So we're looking at northern Pickens County here. Then you've got sections of northern Greenville County here. This storm itself is going to miss downtown Greenville. It's tracking up to the northeast by a long shot. It's going to miss Greenville, so that's some good news. But you've got Highway 25, which connects Greenville to Hendersonville. I would not recommend traveling right now if you need to at all between Hendersonville and Travelers Rest, because that entire area pretty much is under that tornado warning. So again, that most dangerous part of the storm is going to be back here. We've got a couple more tropical downpours that are developing over Clemson right now. Those don't have any severe potential with them, so we'll let those be. And let's focus a little bit more on this Columbus storm here. That one looked pretty strong with some of those scans that we saw. It looks like if we do have anything, it's going to be right here in that southern section of Columbus. For everybody who's living west of Columbus, Saluda, not going to impact you, so thankfully you don't have to worry. But we'll get another look at that storm track here. So Midway Church, 10:13 p.m. That's how far it is from you. You've got Polk Central Church, it's 10:18, so 7 minutes away from you. Byers Church, 10:21 p.m. And this storm itself just looks like it just crossed over I-26, the most dangerous part of the storm, that is. Everywhere to the northeast of that, it's just a big mass of heavy rain, probably some pea-sized hail in that as well. The radar is a little bit noisy in this general area. You've got some mismatched returns showing up there, but here's the telling part. We have these little blips of the shear product showing up on radar. We didn't have that with the Pickens County storm. We do have that with this, so that's something to take into consideration as you get some of these blips of rotation showing up with the shear product. It's a kind of a product that kind of interpolates a lot of the radar data and assimilates it and pulls it in with using a bunch of different algorithms.
The National Weather Service in Greenville-Spartanburg has issued a tornado warning for southeastern Transylvania County in western North Carolina, south-central Henderson County in western North Carolina, northern Greenville County in upstate South Carolina, northeastern Pickens County in upstate South Carolina, until 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 10:08 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 6 miles north of Pickens, or 4 miles south of Table Rock State Park, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. Hazard, tornado. Source, radar indicated rotation. Impact, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. This dangerous storm will be near Caesar's Head State Park around 10:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Pleasant Ridge State Park, Slater, Marietta, and Jones Gap State Park around 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Tigerville around 10:40 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Other locations impacted by this dangerous thunderstorm include Sunset, Pumpkin Town, Crab Creek, Cleveland, and Cedar Mountain. Take cover now. Move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you are outdoors, in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Torrential rainfall is occurring with this storm and may lead to minor flooding.
That, but if there is any more dangerous part of the storm, it's going to be past Pickens and lifting northeast, kind of up towards the Slater and Marietta area. So we'll continue to monitor that over the next few minutes. Sydney, if you're ready, I'll toss it over to you.
Yeah, I was just looking at our chat here. This is our National Weather Service chat, and if you are familiar with the Meeseville Road, or maybe it's Meeseville Road, it is completely blocked. That's all the details that we have right now. This is from someone who has submitted a report, but we are seeing some areas that are dealing with some possible storm damage. So keep that in mind. Really try not to be out on the roads if you can, especially if you are in these tornado warnings. So we're going to take a closer look in. This is that Pickens, northern Greenville warning at this point. So we put it in rotation. It's moving out of the southwest towards the northeast at about 30-35 miles per hour. At this point, as far as rotation goes, let's put on our velocity on there. I'm not seeing any strong rotation with our velocity. Wind shear, these areas also indicating rotation, though. It is coming up with this kind of this blue blob. That is showing indications of some minor rotation at this point, but as of right now, it looks like the majority of this warning is really primarily pushing towards the northeast. So we are starting to see some areas get out of this kind of this danger zone.
Right, and it's thankfully, I guess, the most populated part of Pickens County is Pickens itself, and that is now moving away from you, so that's a good sign. You've got Raven Creek Falls, which is right here. You've got this big windy, curvy highway that kind of goes up and over the mountains into Brevard. It's coming up on the mountains right now, and I'll be interested to see how the storm interacts with the mountains, but because sometimes it can be beneficial for tornado development or detrimental. It's a little hard to say in this particular scenario what's going to happen, but if there is anything right here, it's going to be just south of Mountain Lake Colony. You've got a lot of really good scenic parks right here. We got a message from the Weather Service saying they're going to continue the warning for Polk and Rutherford counties. That's for that storm up in North Carolina, just across the state line. That's the storm that crossed over I-26. That's this particular one right here. This is going to continue for at least another, potentially for another half hour till 10:45. So we're watching that one really closely at this time. If there was any rotation with it, it looks to have exited Columbus itself. It looks like it just moved past of downtown Columbus, the center of town, and it's lifting up to the northeast like that. So that's Highway 74 that you see there, kind of coming up on Mill Spring, though. If you're in Mill Spring, stay put for a little bit longer. It looks like it's kind of just passing on top of you right now. You got some really heavy downpours in Poplar Grove right now. There's North Carolina Highway 108 coming out of Mill Spring. You've got a lot of heavy rain here. And if there is any rotation, it's going to be kind of on that back southwestern side of the storm. Maybe a little bit of something here, but not overly impressive. We still have those blips of rotation showing up with the shear product. Not especially well pronounced with the velocity, but still something worth watching. So Poplar Grove, stay in your safe place a little bit longer. Same goes for Mill Spring. Columbus, it's past you, and Columbus, you're officially out of that tornado warning, so that's good. All clear for everybody watching over in Columbus, as that storm has now crossed over I-26 completely and is now pushing up to the northeast at around 35 miles per hour. Now, the next big community in line is Rutherfordton. You guys are not included in this tornado warning, but if you are watching us in Rutherfordton, have your guard up, because this may be extended down the line to include you guys. But at this time, it's just in effect for most of Polk County and the far western sections of Rutherford County. Here's Sydney with the arrival times for you. Green Hill, it's on top of you right now. You've got Gilkey at 10:28 p.m., Rutherford Marchman Field at 10:29 p.m., then you've got Union Hills at 10:32. So those are all the communities that are well within the path of this particular storm. storm that is, again, up in North Carolina, Polk and Rutherford counties. Now you've got this storm a little closer to home that we've been talking about. Hasn't had an especially strong signature with it, but the Weather Service is being extra cautious here. They're just making sure it doesn't ramp up if it does ramp up anytime soon, it could produce a tornado in a hurry. That particular storm, as we mentioned, is now past Pickens, and there's Highway 276 right there, and it looks like it's past Pumpkintown for the most part. I believe Pumpkintown's right about here. And then you've got Slater, Marietta as you travel up towards the mountains, which is right about here. Slater and Marietta is northern Greenville County. That's about 15 miles north of downtown Greenville. You've got an area of rotation that's near you. So I would say that Slater and Marietta, if you guys are watching, stay in your safe spots for the next 10 minutes or so. River Falls is going to be near you in about 8 minutes. Jones Gap State Park, about 10 minutes away from you. That is the most dangerous part of the storm. It's already raining up there, up towards the mountains. You've got this big elongated group of downpours here that's stretched across the state line going all the way up towards Hendersonville. But at this time, it looks like if there is anything, that's where it would be, right around here. It's about to exit Pickens County, so there's the county line right here, that little dark black line that you see there. So it's coming up on the county line, and as soon as it crosses over, I would imagine that Pickens County would be taken out of the warning completely. So it's making its forward progress up to the northeast, and hopefully we'll be able to give an all clear for all of Pickens County, as we just did with Oconee County where the storm began about half an hour ago. So right now raining pretty hard in Clemson, but no sign of any significant rotation with these downpours that we're seeing here. It's certainly a lot of heavy rain out there. It's just been, it feels like it's been relentless all day long, where it's just been wave after wave after wave of heavy downpours, and now it's kind of transitioning into that late night severe weather threat. And in large part, we thought the activity would wind down a little bit after sunset. What's happening here is we've got the cold front itself, which is now pushing through the area. That's giving us enough lift at the surface of the atmosphere, at the Earth's surface, to actually push these storms upward and interact with the moisture and the instability higher up in the atmosphere. So again, we've got some low-level forcing here that's forcing these storms to really gain some strength, even though it's after sunset, which is not exactly how we thought it would play out, but it's still something that was in the realm of possibility. That is, when the front came through, we would actually get some storms ramping up, and that's what we're seeing here now. So here's the latest scan of the radar. There's the county line between Greenville and Pickens. So it's pretty much all the way outside of Pickens County now. That most dangerous part of the storm that you see there. There's Highway 276. So if you travel north out of Greenville, there's Highway 25. It goes up like that all the way up to Hendersonville. Then you've got the split where 276 kind of goes all the way up towards Brevard. So it's well to the south of Brevard. If you're watching us in Hendersonville, this is probably going to miss you, even though the southern part of Henderson County is included in that tornado warning. This is not going to be impacting you guys. So watching us in Hendersonville, no need to worry about that. Asheville, you guys are good. Not going to be impacting you. Pretty much everybody who's west of these storms, pretty much in the clear for the rest of the night tonight, because as I mentioned, this is the cold front. So everything back beyond this line is pretty much in the clear for the rest of the night tonight. Looks like we got a new tornado warning, though, for the Polk-Rutherford County storm. Looks like this new one is going to be in effect until 11:15 p.m. based on the information I'm seeing on the Weather Service chat. So new tornado warning that's going to impact, it's going to include downtown Rutherfordton. You've got the same storm, which is already shown some signs of rotation. It's coming up on Rutherfordton now. So if you're in Rutherfordton, if you're in Green Hill, anybody along Highway 221, that is US Highway 221, go to where your interior room, away from doors and windows. You don't want to go outside and see this thing. It's the middle of the night and it's raining and you got terrain in the way. So it's just pointless to go outside and try to see this thing. You're not going to. It's not it's beside the point and puts you in more danger than we'd like you to be in. So if you're west of Rutherfordton, especially along North Carolina State Highway 108, go to your safe spot right now. Green Hill, there's US Highway 64 right there. We want you to go to your safe spot as well. Good news is, for places further back into Polk County, there's the county line right there, Polk and Henderson County. Everybody who's down into Polk County, I think we can go ahead and give you an all clear from this particular storm as well. So looks like we have another message that popped up here. I believe that's, is that an update to the Greenville County warning, Sydney, that we have right here?
It looks like they have continued the warning, including parts of Hendersonville and Greenville, and even into Pickens.
Okay.
It's 16 miles southeast of Brevard.
Okay, yes. So like we talked about, everybody who's kind of north or northwest of this big line that we're seeing develop here that's really flaring up. Everybody who's up northwest of that, Asheville, Brevard, fortunately, this is not going to be impacting you guys. Weather Service just using Brevard as a good pinpoint to kind of show you where the storm is located. So you go 16 miles southeast of Brevard, right around here is where that most dangerous part of the storm is currently located. And that is now outside of Pickens County completely. So even though parts of Pickens County still included with that warning, we can give you an all clear here in Pickens County. Not going to be impacting you. Also, Travelers Rest, pretty well populated suburb of Greenville. This is going to be missing you guys. I can say that with confidence. This is going to be missing Travelers Rest. This is going to be missing well, more than likely missing Tigerville. Still kind of too close to call for you guys. But for any of these places that are, if you travel north out of Greenville, kind of on your way up towards Asheville, there's still plenty of houses in this general area, just east of Jones Gap State Park, like Sydney's highlighting on the map here. We definitely want you guys to kind of stay inside. Don't go outside looking for anything. You're not going to see much of any tornadoes, even if there is one, because it's middle of the night and it's raining out there. So another look at those arrival times for you. You've got Cleveland to 10:28. You got Jones Gap State Park. We've mentioned Jones Gap over the past 10-15 minutes. It's about 6 minutes away from you. River Falls, 7 minutes away from you, and Gap Creek, about 12 minutes away from you. So again, this is fully in Greenville County now. It's going to miss Greenville downtown by a long shot. It's also going to miss Travelers Rest. It's going to miss Berea as well as Parker, all those areas that are in the immediate area of Greenville itself. It's going to miss you guys by a long way. There are some downpours further down to the south and west, but none of those appear to be doing anything too fussy, we'll call it. It just looks to be just tropical downpours there. Then you've got that Polk Rutherfordton storm that is still got a tornado warning with it. That was the most latest update that we got from the Weather Service, is that they have, I've seen something that they actually canceled it.
Yeah, I think they canceled it. However, it is still highlighted. Okay. Which means we still might see some rotation, but overall the threat is weakening.
Yes, and that might have been from like the previous polygon, you know, that initial polygon that they issued, and maybe they just drew a whole new one that included the northern sections of Rutherfordton right there. So the red box that you see there, that was the newest polygon that goes until 11:15. The thing we're seeing about it being canceled, that was probably for the original one that was further back here. So the storm started in Columbus. That was about 20-25 minutes ago, and now it's fully into Rutherford County. So everybody in Polk County, we can give you an all clear. Columbus, it's all clear for you. Saluda, Green Creek, all those places that you see there along Highway 64 just north of Columbus, all clear. Don't need to worry about that no need to worry about this particular storm. However, Rutherfordton, stay in your safe spot. This storm is passing really close to downtown Rutherfordton. We want you to stay sheltered and not be driving in the middle of this. Here's Sydney drawing the storm track for you. You've got Gilkey. It's coming up on you in about 7 minutes. Gilkey Elementary School in about 7 minutes as well. Then you've got Alexander School that's about 10 minutes away from you, and Camp Creek Church as well. That's about 20 minutes away. So you've got There's Highway 74 here, and your area of rotation, if you do have it, is going to be right about here. Let's look. Do we see anything with the velocity data that we're showing up here? I mean, you've got kind of broad rotation here. You've got inbound winds going towards the radar, which is down to the south here, and then away from the radar, which is up this way. So you do have a little bit of area of rotation here, but nothing that stands out especially. But you do have a notable return here that's just south of Greenville with the rotation product. Sometimes those two products can look a little bit different based on all the data that the radar is pulling in, but you've got a little something here. That's something that's worth noting. South of Green Hill, I believe that's south of US Highway 64, pretty major corridor here. I'm sure that's a 4-lane highway. If it's a US highway, it's more than likely going to be. That's passing just south of Green Hill, and especially in the western part of downtown Rutherfordton. Stay put. That looks like could be definitely something there. And this is held together a little bit better than the Pickens County and Greenville County storm. We've got another storm that's further up to the northeast, kind of along I-40 near Morganton. That's in Charlotte's television market. We're not going to worry about that. Then you've got more tropical showers showing up in Henderson County, but Hendersonville itself probably not going to be under the gun from this particular storm. I think we can go ahead and give an all clear for you guys as a lot of this activity just pushes its way off to the east. So let's hone in more on that northern Greenville County storm. It's moving pretty quickly, moving around 30-35 miles per hour, and time right now is 10:30, and there's the crossroads here that will roughly in the vicinity of Jones Gap State Park. There's Slater there. You've got the main area of rotation that's just north of there. So Pleasant Ridge County Park, it looks like it's going to be on top of you right now, and down to the south of that. Everywhere that's kind of south of that county park, probably not going to be impacted too heavily by this storm. So that's the state line right there. It's coming up on the state line and moving pretty quickly off to the northeast. So if there is anything there, that's where we're watching it closely. But as of right now, it's still kind of a hodgepodge. I would say that the Rutherford County storm has a little bit more of a punch with it, but we've got to keep a close eye on this one as well. Doing a quick reset here, you know, we've been watching these storms all day. This is the broad picture of what's happening in the area. We've got the cold front that's coming up now, mixing with the unstable air. It gives it enough forcing for these thunderstorms to develop. It's not a type of situation where you have a big outbreak of supercells, because that would only normally be reserved for an outbreak in the afternoon, but it's middle of the night, so we don't really have that right now. What we do have is just this big line of storms that is firing up along the cold front itself. So it's not the same thing as an outbreak of supercells that develop way out in the warm sector of a storm. This is just along the front. So it's just enough low-level forcing to get some low-level areas of rotation, but not enough to really merit anything like what we saw last night with the New Orleans tornado. I don't think we'll see anything like that with any of these storms that develop tonight. Just another one of those events. Maybe you get something, maybe you don't. We really appreciate your patience with us. I recognize that being that it's nighttime, we're not able to show a whole lot of angles like the cameras because it's dark outside. We're not going to be able to see that much, but we do appreciate your patience. And while you bear with us, this is as these tornado warnings are issued. So again, a couple shear returns showing up there northwest of Rutherfordton, crossing over US Highway 221. That's an area to watch there. So again, if you're in Rutherfordton and Logan or DeSartsville, any of these places that are up in northern Rutherford County, stay sheltered a little bit longer. Green Hill, I think we can give it all clear for you guys. It's well past you, moving up to the northeast, 30-35 miles an hour. It's away from you, so all clear for Green Hill. That's some good news to pass along there. Sydney, if you're ready, I'll toss it over to you.
Thanks, Griffin. Yeah, we're getting some reports in, still trying to get some of these confirmed, but at least as far as Pickens County goes, I believe that's where we have had reports of trees down and possibly some power lines down. So if you are within that particular tornado warning, as I'm zooming in closer, really try and stay off the roads. Try and just stay in your safe spot. and not be out and about, as this is still a very active tornado warning, moving to the northeast at about 30-35 miles per hour. So still could see that potential for very strong gusty winds. As far as rotation goes, not seeing very strong rotation. I realize this looks like a lot of different colors, but when green meets red, we generally use the phrase get under the bed. And we do see some signs of that, but again, it's fairly broad. So that means we're not seeing a strong amount of rotation at that point, which is what that blue blob is indicating here. So as we put a current track on this, we'll do closer towards the leading edge here. Moving to the, whoops, her tracker thing not wanting to work at the moment. 1 second. So we put our latest track on kind of the leading edge here, pushing to the northeast in about 1 to 2 minutes. Terry Creek, you're going to be in the line of that potential tornado under that tornado warning. We're seeing indications of rotation. Chestnut Springs, 1042, Saluda, 1051, and if you're really in the vicinity of Saluda Elementary, also in that line of a very strong storm system. So that's that particular warning. Again, if you are, or if you've been within these warnings and you have seen some damage and it's safe to do so, please send those pictures in to you local on WYFFnews4.com, as well as send us those reports. We want to see what you guys are seeing as long as it is safe to do so. Now let's take a look at this other tornado warning. At this point, oh, we are just getting, it looks like we just got another storm report. Rolling Hills Road, 6 miles. There are some damage in that area. So, so we are seeing reports of damage around the Pickens County, and we are still seeing active tornado warnings. It doesn't mean that we're seeing a tornado on the ground, but we're seeing rotation indicated on the radar. So that's what we're watching. But here we're in the Rutherford County timeline here. It's out of Green Hill, moving out of Rutherfordton. So that's some good news there, moving towards the northeast. I'm going to go towards this kind of leading edge, even though this is kind of getting out of our area, but that's good that it continues working towards the northeast. But these are the towns that are going to be affected over the next, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes. So if you're near Pilot Mountain School, 1051, you need to get in your safe spot in the lowest level of your home. Now, Griffin, I'm going to take a wide view here so we can kind of get oriented here and see what we're looking at. Yeah, and then we'll take a closer look.
Yeah, I can show you guys where we've had that damage report come in. So Rolling Hills Road, that's over in Pickens County, just east of Lake Kiowee. We had a report of damage come in with some trees and power lines that got knocked down. So that must have been from within about 45 minutes to an hour ago. Right about here, we had some damage reports that came in, and that's going to come from that storm that's way off into northern Greenville County. It doesn't look as well defined structurally as it did when it was back into Pickens County, but it's still under a tornado warning for places like Tigerville. Fortunately, Travelers Rest, it's way off to the north of you. You don't have to worry about that. Hendersonville, it's kind of passing between Travelers Rest and Hendersonville, so neither of these places, you don't really have to worry about this tornado much. But if you're living along Highway 25, it's coming down like cats and dogs right now, that really heavy rain. This is right where the mountains begin. If you're traveling, you know, a lot of people travel from Greenville and between Greenville and Asheville. This is that main highway that you're coming up the upslope of the mountain. There's some torrential rainfall here. So tornado or not, don't want you to drive through this. That's the main thing, main point to get across, is that it's definitely treacherous for travel right now. You've got a pretty strong upslope. I think it's 6% grade going up that side of the mountain there. So you got some slick roads. Don't bother traveling right now. We strongly recommend you don't do that, because traveling is going to be pretty hazardous for at least the next half an hour to an hour in far northern Greenville County. So Terry Creek, 1038, that's right on top of you right now. It is 1038. 1044 Chestnut Springs. You've got Buckeye Ford, the Ford dealership, I'm sure, at 10:51 p.m. or 10:54 for Saluda, and that's going to be off into North Carolina. So this is the most pressing storm in the vicinity right now, aside from that Rutherford County storm. But again, that chance for severe weather continues for at least most of the area just north of Rutherfordton. So downtown Rutherfordton, The storm is past you. We were concerned about you for a moment there. If you do have any damage reports to pass along, please feel free to do so. At least at this time, we can say with confidence that the storm is past Rutherfordton and potentially on top of Logan right now. So if you're in Logan and watching us or listening to us, stay in your interior room. It's pouring down rain right now, and it can be a little bit scary, but at least for the moment, we advise you to hold steady for just a moment and stay in your shelters. Now, further back to the west, you've got some more tropical showers, none of which are severe, but certainly we just got to wait. Just got to wait for it to all work its way through here. Now, that latest scan of the radar puts that dangerous part of the storm just out. It's now coming up on the edge of the polygon itself. So we'll be waiting to see if they reissue for that.
Well, and Griffin, I want to pause you for a second. We got another report of home destroyed.
Oh, wow.
Homes are destroyed near Lost Valley Road, Pickens County. It's not confirmed, but that's a report that we have received.
Wow.
So,
okay.
So these are very dangerous storms. I know they may not look like much, but we're still getting a lot of damage out of them.
Wow. I'm really surprised to hear that, because the radar signatures didn't necessarily support that. It was a scenario where it was really kind of broad or not well-defined rotation, but we have ground truth to this. You just heard we had tree damage in just the eastern shores of Lake Kiowee, and then homes damage now. This is a storm you got to take seriously, and that's why the Weather Service has continually extended that warning further and further out in distance. So east of Highway 25, that's where that most dangerous part of the storm is right now, and it's lifting up to the northeast at around 30 miles per hour. This is right on top of the state line. This is where the mountains begin. I'm sure you're getting a lot of pretty strong winds here, maybe around 50, 60 miles per hour here as this storm now comes up and over the mountains, passing just south of Hendersonville. So let's pause for a moment and we'll get another look at any new reports that might have come in. The tornado warning that you see there for Greenville County, that has not been extended yet, but we will wait to see what the Weather Service wants to do about that. Obviously, with the damage reports that have come in, you gotta take the storm seriously. Looks like, again, Rolling Hills Road near 6 Mile, that's down in Pickens County, kind of near Lake Kiowee. Then you've got Crystal Lane and Hidden Valley Road. We had a report of damage there. Also a report of damage in 6 Mile along 141 Duncan Road. So anybody who's familiar with 6 Mile, if any of those roads jump out to you, don't go driving through that area. Don't bother going out and sightseeing, because people may want you to leave them alone as they pick up the pieces. So just let them be, let them go about their business, and let the emergency personnel let them handle the situation. We've got reports of homes destroyed and potential entrapment on Lost Valley Road in Pickens County. I'm just really quite surprised that this storm is almost exceeding expectations in a way, but it looks like they just canceled that warning there.
Yeah, that's some great news. So really, not to say that we aren't seeing a strong storm out of this, and also want to clarify, we aren't seeing necessarily a tornado, but we're seeing radar indications that there have been rotations. So that's what we've been focusing on. Fortunately, it looks like we are in the clear as far as that storm system just north of Tigerville. However, into Rutherford County, still seeing the tail end of that system. Once it moves out of Rutherford County, I think our threats drastically go down for the majority of the area.
Yeah, absolutely. We're near the end of that severe weather window. That's the best possible news we can give, but be thinking about the folks in Pickens County right now, because this was a storm that we've discussed that potential for severe weather most of the evening, and unfortunately for some, there's definitely some damage out there in Pickens County, east of Lake Kiowee in particular, and west of downtown Pickens. That general area has definitely picked up some damage. We have reports of trees down as well as homes damaged. Spare a thought for them as the storms now push through. Now, you've got this Rutherford County storm, which is on the way out of Rutherford County. There's the county line that you see there, and I believe once this crosses the county line, it's out of our viewing area and into the Charlotte television market. So thankfully that's now exiting the area and moving out of here. But good news is for folks in Rutherfordton that the threat is now over. It looks like we got a new tornado warning. That's, yep, they just trimmed the old warning, so they took Rutherfordton out just there, and they're now more focused on that northern section of Rutherford County there. So Sydney's zooming in on that, and that's just north of Logan. So Logan's right here, and Logan is now out of the path of this storm. So there was a little bit of rotation here earlier that prompted the warning, and Golden Church is in the path of this storm. And if you're near Golden Church or you're familiar with Golden Church, it's going to be passing near there at around 10:50. And then once it moves out of Rutherford County, then it's no longer within our viewing area. So then it moves out into the Charlotte viewing area. So just not much longer before we're able to give an all clear for all of Rutherford County. But as Sydney and I mentioned, the Greenville County storm, that warning has now been allowed to expire. Just kind of, it's lost its edge. It's no longer a threat, it looks like. That was that same storm that moved through Pickens County and produced those reports of damage. That's no longer an issue. So if you're in Saluda or if you're in Columbus, which was impacted earlier by that other storm that's way off in Rutherford County now, this next storm is not going to be a threat. It's just going to be rain, maybe some wind, and possibly a couple lightning strikes here and there. But the lion's share of the really severe stuff is now kind of on the way out of here. Then in southern Pickens County, you got another band of tropical downpours here. That is not severe, but it could be falling where some places have sustained damage. That's always an issue. So, but at least at this time, this is not a severe storm. We're not necessarily worried about that. So we just have to wait until that Rutherford County warning expires, and then we'll be able to more than likely segue into our regular newscast. Time right now is 10:45, and we're coming up on 11 when our newscast normally begins. But for now, all we got to focus on is this storm right here. Sydney, if we could switch over to velocity, we could maybe get a closer look at that storm. There was just one little lightning strike there, and there is some rotation. There is no question that there's something there as far as rotation goes. Outbound winds there, inbound winds going like that. There's the rotation product. This is, I would argue, more well-defined than the Pickens County storm, but the storms have maybe exceeded expectations tonight in Pickens County especially. Just had one little lightning strike with it there. I believe that is U.S. Highway 221, Highway 64 that's right here. So if you live along Highway 64, it's on top of you right now. This is the worst of it, and it's going to move through pretty quickly, but stay put. Wait for this thing to pass. We had one little lightning strike there. I'm sure you've got 40 to 50 mile per hour winds embedded with those really heavy downpours, but for the most part, the most dangerous part of the storm is right here, right on top of Highway 64, coming up on North Carolina Highway 226. So again, if you know anybody in Rutherford County, the far northern part of Rutherford County, send them a text, give them a heads up. If you live near Cane Creek Church along Highway 64, you're in the path of this. So that'll be passing through the Cane Creek Church area, the most dangerous part, within the next 5 minutes. And there's the latest scan of live Super Doppler 4 HD. So there's that little bit of a hook echo that we see there. That's north of Westminster, north of Sunshine, and making its way northeast at around 35 miles per hour. Now about 10 miles west of South Mountain State Park. So that's about right here. And this is a pretty hilly terrain that we have here. So it may mess with the physics of the storm a little bit, but mountains or not, there's still something there, and we saw that pretty well with the shear product. So we gotta hold tight and wait for this thing to make its way out of Rutherford County, which it's still in the county. So interior room, away from doors and windows, go to a closet, go to a bathroom, Rutherford County in particular, and wait for the storm to pass. And until we give you an all clear, just hold tight for a minute. So that's, again, North Carolina, one of those state highways in North Carolina north of Duncan's Creek. It's passing over that highway right now, so just east of Highway 64. It's crossing over right now. So, Sydney, we're almost through with this. We're really close, but that's the last storm on the board that appears to pose an immediate threat.
Yes, exactly. We are on the tail end of things, getting more reports of people just hearing the roaring sound of the winds as some of these storms had gone through. One of these was in that Sunset, South Carolina area. So these are areas that have maybe not necessarily seen all of the damage, but we've had reports of very strong winds. Trees have been down, even homes damaged. So really take these storms with caution. We're on the tail end of it into Rutherford County. So we've got maybe 5-10 more minutes, and then this will move out of that area. So that's some really good news there. To kind of reorient you guys and show you kind of what we're looking at. We're really on the tail end of some of these storms. Just watching a couple here, although they don't have any warnings at this point. Some stronger storms into parts of Pickens County, moving from the southwest to the northeast and east towards Travelers Rest. You might get grazed by a quick heavy downpour and some strong winds. As we take a little bit further northward here, just over the border into North Carolina, this is part of that stronger system that we saw within the last 30 minutes, moving just north of Landrum. It is weakened quite a bit, so really some great news there. Really just focused on the northeastern portion of Rutherford County. That last little bit of this storm warning here continues for the next few minutes, but I do think we are starting to see at least most of this exit the area. So we're keeping a close eye on that, but we're almost there.
Yes, almost there, almost there. This is the last storm on the board that poses an immediate threat. The warning continues until looks like 11:15 p.m. and looks like this is the only area that we have to be concerned with. 11:15 p.m. is when the warning expires. Thankfully, Rutherfordton, obviously probably one of the more populated places of Rutherford County. It's well past that. Moving towards DeSartsville, excuse me, and a lot of heavy downpours here on the border of one of our fringe counties. So for the vast majority of us, the severe weather threat is pretty much over. If you're in Asheville or if you're in Hendersonville, Greenville, Clemson, Anderson, a lot of our more populated places, you don't necessarily have to worry too much about severe weather the rest of the night tonight. It's just this last storm on the board that we are obligated to cover since it is within our viewing area and it does have rotation with it. We got to stick with it. So again, if you're in the far northern sections of Rutherford County along North Carolina Highway 226, there's an area of rotation that's passing pretty close to there. So if you're anywhere near that area, stay sheltered for the next few minutes as we watch and wait for word from the Weather Service on whether or not they're going to continue that warning. I don't believe we have a TDS with it. If we could switch over to the debris products, Sydney, and see if there's anything there. Just not quite seeing that. I think maybe we had a little bit of something with the velocity, but I mean, that's normally what a TDS would look like, but it's not necessarily co-located with where the radar indicated rotation is. So the TDS was about there, possible TDS. It's not a TDS, but if there was one, it should be right about here where the rotation is, but we're not seeing that. So that means that debris is not quite being lofted, but there's an area of rotation there that's passing over Highway 226. So maybe let's zoom in a little bit closer on that and possibly get some cross streets. Again, this is State Highway 226 we're talking about. So there's Highway 64 right there. The main potential area is going to be just east of that and on the southwestern side of the storm there. So we give you some of those arrival times there. Golden Church looks like it's kind of on top of you right now. If there is anything there, it's happening right now. This will be the worst of it. So kind of on the way out for you guys, and again, we apologize. We're not going to be able to show many cameras at this time because it's the middle of the night. We're not going to be able to see much, and as well as the hills and the terrain get in the way. So I wouldn't bother going out and trying to find visual confirmation for this. Morganton's way up here along I-40. That's outside of our viewing area, but again, Rutherford County, that upper northeastern corner of Rutherford County, this is going to be impacting you guys. So we will we'll hold here for a moment and let this storm pass. Checking back with the Weather Service for more data, looks like, or any further updates, and they have not passed anything else along yet. The main emails we've been getting to our newsroom are pretty striking, though. We've had reports come in of someone said they saw a funnel cloud past, this was back when the storm was in Pickens County initially, where they saw a funnel cloud. They live in Sunset, and they saw what looks like possibly a power flash based on the way they described it. A lot of times when you see tornadoes will knock out the transformers, and you'll get these big bright flashes of green. Sometimes they can get confused with lightning. They look really similar, but when those flashes happen at the ground, that's more than often a power flash. We got a viewer email saying that they saw that over in Pickens County. So that storm, based on the radar interpretation, I would say kind of exceeded expectations, at least as far as the radar is concerned. And middle of the night, it's hard to get visual confirmation, but somebody was able to see that. And more than often than not, it knocks the power out immediately. So that's part of the reason why why they were able to notice such a powerful storm like that. So again, Rutherford County is the last place on the board that we have to be concerned with. Lion's share of the severe weather is now over for most of us, as we've talked about. But again, State Highway 226 east of Highway 64, that's the last spot on the board for now.
And we just got another report down. This is again in Pickens County from earlier within these tornado warnings, that there were trees down on a house. This was a report we got, and they are being removed, but there's likely more trees on this Reese Mill area. So if you're familiar with that area, really avoid driving. Even though the main threats have exited the area, we have had quite a bit of reports of damage from trees, possible power lines, and even homes destroyed. So it's a very powerful storm system that has since weakened quite a bit, but we're still watching this Rutherford County tornado warning that is in place. It's radar indicated rotation. It's fairly weak at this point, really not seeing a whole lot. Where we're seeing that green kind of meet the red there, that's just a very broad rotation. But that's the last area that we're watching as it continues working primarily to the east and northeast. All right, yeah, it's moving just south of Morganton at this point, and once it clears Rutherford County, we are good to go. So that's the last little bit we're watching. I expect this to get updated within the next couple of minutes. So if you are still within that warning area, definitely make sure you're taking those necessary precautions.
Yes, so we are very close to coming up on the 11 o'clock hour. And at that point, once the warning expires, I imagine we'll be able to kind of segue into our 11 o'clock newscast. And I imagine we'll have a couple more reports to share from Pickens County. That's the place in particular where we've had the most damage reports come in. The main focus, at least for the moment, has to be with this storm, which is up in northern Rutherford County. But had a lot of reports of trees come down, and Sydney, I'm honestly surprised that it's performed the way it has.
That was a pretty powerful storm, very quick moving. That's what happens with these storms. They get just enough energy where they can produce those damaging winds, and that's what's happened, especially across Pickens County. But as of right now, as we take a wider view of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Northeast Georgia. Looks like Northeast Georgia, you are in the clear. You are good to go. Pickens County, you do have a strong storm moving on through to the north and northeast and east, but at this point, it poses no severe weather threat. Main thing we're watching is up into North Carolina, just north of Landrum. We've got a strong storm. You're likely to see some heavy downpours and some gusty winds along with it north of Lake Lure. Another strong storm moving on in, and then Rutherford County. This is the one we're keeping a close eye on, just north of Duncan's Creek, south of Morganton. Very strong moving storm system, and it looks like we just either got a new tornado warning for...
That's going to be Alexander and Caldwell, so fortunately that's outside of our viewing area, and that's We like to see that. You know,
yes, it's moving out of our area, which is great.
All the action moving out. That's good.
Want to make sure those areas are well taken care of. But Rutherford County, we're on the tail end. I would expect the next few minutes, the latest scan, to push this out of Rutherford County.
Right, and I think we should be able to. It's coincidentally, it's going to happen right as the newscast begins. So I think. I'm talking, I guess, to the producers now. I believe we should be able to kind of segue into our regular newscast now, since this is pretty much imminently about to exit the Rutherford County area. I think we could go ahead and give an all clear to pretty much all of Rutherford County, and thankfully this is going to be, it may be a little bit of a difficult switch for us to do, but again, the tornado warning or tornado threat for this particular storm is pretty much out of our viewing area almost completely. So again, we're coming up on the top of the hour, and of course we'll have a recap on all the potential reports that we've had come in from Pickens County in particular, where we saw or where we've heard most of those damage reports come in. So that's all coming up here in the next couple of minutes. And for now, no other tornado warnings active in our area, just a few more showers left over right now in Pickens County. So again, we will have a recap on that, plus the latest news for today coming up right now. For the moment, WYFF News 4 at 11 begins right now. Okay, so I guess I'm getting word we're going to stay with this until 11:15. So let's continue with the coverage here. We've got more tropical showers that are showing up in eastern Pickens County. We've got northern Rutherford County. We've got the northern Rutherford County storm, which is now exiting the area. So that's the last storm that we have in the immediate vicinity that has a severe threat with it. There's that area of rotation that we see there in the far northeastern corner there. So the warning itself is continuing until 11:15 p.m. So we will stick with it until we get word otherwise from the National Weather Service, which we have not gotten just yet. So for everybody else who's watching, we apologize for the disruption here. I know this is not impacting a large portion of the area, but it is that far northeastern corner of Rutherford County in particular that we have to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, it looks like they are considering expiring some warnings, not for the whole area. We are on the tail end, though. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Rutherford County, the far northeastern portion of it, that's the last little bit that we are watching. Otherwise, the rest of the area looks good to go. If you're in northeast Georgia, you are in all clear at this point. The rain, the storms has already exited. We're just watching just a strong storm moving through Pickens and then into parts of North Carolina. That's kind of the main focus right now as we take a closer look in. So keep sending any damage reports that you are seeing if it is safe to do so. But otherwise, if you are still in this Rutherford County tornado warning, make sure you are still in your safe spot. Yeah,
yes.
Sorry. I was also noticing, looks like a pretty heavy downpour moving just west of Columbus, grazing that area. That was also the area that was in a tornado warning about an hour or so ago. So we're looking at likely some training on some of those back roads with those heavy downpours. So try and avoid driving on the roads as the rain's going to be pretty heavy here shortly.
Right, and it's possibly raining over the same areas that could have been impacted earlier. You know, that Rutherford County storm followed that almost exact same track where it was over the southern part of Columbus and then moved up to the northeast, up towards Rutherfordton, and now it's way up there. That's Columbus is where it was about an hour ago, and the warning continues until 11:15 for that northeastern corner of Rutherford County, and it's right on that county line where we have that most likely area of rotation. Everywhere to the north of that, it's just going to be a big shield of rain, but there is a little bit of wind shear there that we've been watching. Sydney's been pulling up the shear product, and we've gotten these tiny little returns here. It's not nothing, and normally that only happens when you have a well-defined area of rotation, so the velocity will look a little bit different than that. So we encourage you to take this storm seriously for just for the moment and up to the north of Duncan's Creek along State Highway 226 right there. That's where the storm's currently located, and it's moving up northeast at around 30 to 35 miles per hour. So Logan and Rutherfordton, you guys were impacted earlier from this storm, and looks like we just got the latest scan of the radar here. We've got it's right on top of the county line now, so it's moving up to the northeast like that. We will wait to see what the Weather Service does in terms of the warning to see if they extend it or if they just decide to cancel it altogether. Hopefully that is the case, so, and then we can give an all clear to everybody watching in our viewing area as this one particular storm continues. So for the rest of us, we will get a little bit of a break for any severe weather for the next couple of days. I'm thankful to say once we get past tonight, we're not really going to have any big rain chances for at least the next 6 to 7 days. So we love to see that. We get a nice break from all the severe weather. For the moment, though, just some tropical showers showing up over parts of Pickens and Greenville counties. Those wind speeds are changing direction. So this is actually really good visual that Sydney just pulled up here. We've got west winds and south winds. You can make out really well where that cold front is. It's right about here, and all along this front is where we've seen the storms pop up. And once this front fully pushes through the area, that's when we get an all clear from any potential severe weather. And it will happen over the next couple of hours. You already see all the returns on the radar drying up there. So again, we will stick with that Rutherford County storm.
It looks like it just got canceled.
Okay, yes.
So we are in the clear.
Okay, looks like it just got canceled and then pushed further up to the northeast, up towards Burke, Caldwell, and Catawba counties. So that's over in the Charlotte television market. We got an all clear, luckily. So no further severe weather threat from any of these downpours at this time. So Nigel, Carol, if you guys are ready, I'll go ahead and toss it over to you.
Live, local, breaking news. This is WYFF News 4 at 11.
A busy night across the Carolinas. Tornado warnings starting in Abbeville County earlier this evening. Warnings expiring in Greenville County moments ago.
Video here of funnel clouds from around 6:30 tonight in Abbeville County. This is near Flat Rock Road and Highway 28. Let's get right to meteorologist Griffin Hardy, who's been tracking the systems all night. Griffin?
Yeah, we've been with you most of the evening tonight, where we started off the early evening with a tornado warning down in Abbeville County. That definitely had quite a lot of pictures of funnel clouds with it. We've also had reports of power outages and trees down in western Pickens County. That was from a storm that moved off to the northeast and up into the mountains. Unfortunately, yes, we did have damage reports that came in, despite it potentially being a low-end severe weather event. It was a non-zero threat for severe weather tonight, and unfortunately it did pan out for some folks, especially over in Pickens County. So some tropical showers out there right now in eastern Pickens County, and then up into northern Greenville County, you've got more downpours here. There is still technically that tornado watch, which is in effect until midnight for eastern Rutherford County, excuse me, but lion's share of the activity appears to be winding down. And the good news is that we're on a downward trajectory. We will see cooler temperatures in the morning. Most spots further west towards Walhalla, Toccoa, and Clemson. You guys will wake up to the 40s tomorrow, 50s tomorrow morning towards Greenville and Spartanburg. And then tomorrow afternoon, the sunshine comes back out. It'll be a really nice day. We will see sunshine for at least the remainder of the week and into the weekend. There will be a small chance for some freezing temperatures on Sunday. I know that poses a concern for most farmers up there, up towards Henderson and Buncombe counties. That's where temperatures will be at their coolest on Sunday. So we'll talk more about that in your full forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Griffin, thank you. Nearly 1,000 Blue Ridge electric customers are without power. Blue Ridge is reporting 16 outages. This is affecting more than 980 customers.
The areas hardest hit are west of Pickens and north of 6 Mile. A reminder from officials, do not drive over downed power lines. In fact, do not approach them either.
Tonight, we've obtained the 911 calls from a deadly shooting on Lake Kiowee. The calls reveal the moments that